Hello and welcome to episode 242 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
The Wolves 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter. Please rate us 5 stars on Spotify. A few people did last time I asked, so I'll ask again. And please subscribe on YouTube as it helps out the show.
Jack Williams is here.
Good evening.
Harry, let's start with me jinxing it last week, saying there's absolutely no possibility of losing against Sheffield United. And now we're talking about a 2-1 loss against Sheffield United. Couple of changes, a start for Sasha, but let's just get your thoughts to begin with.
Yeah, well, the preview last week, obviously you've just said what you said, but I think Jack, me, Bayliss, we're all worried because we've said when we go into games when we're favourites, we aren't keen. And just on top of that, with the Neto injury, I was a bit worried going into it. But the starting lineup, I liked Sasa Kalajic starting. I mean, I think we predicted it, to be honest. I know Bellegarde made the bench in the end. Midfield, Tommy Doyle, because of how good he's been, I think he deserved a start. And first half, for me, I thought we were really good. We just couldn't score. We created about 3 or 4 really good chances, which we should have put away. I've seen people criticising, saying that it didn't really work with Sasha up there, but I thought he was really good, linking up the play. He was tidy. Hwang was on good form that first half as well, but as I mentioned, we just couldn't get that goal. But again, we've had a few of these now where it was a game of 2 halves, and second half, God, it was night and day because we were absolutely awful. And I'm sure we're getting to the nitty gritty of decisions and things like that. But yeah, first 45, pretty good. Second 45, we deserve everything we got, really.
Sutton in the comments, Jack. I was there on Saturday and still can't believe we've let them off the hook. We looked so comfortable in the first half. Sort of echoing what Harry said there. But there were moments of madness in it. But obviously, you know, we've played a lot of teams this season that have maybe been punching above their weight, or certainly started the season well, who've missed key players and their talismans. And obviously, it was sort of our turn to do that with no Neto.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything Harry's said, really. I've been trying to weigh it up in my head about whether we were just unlucky on Saturday or whether we deserved it and it was our own fault. And I think I keep flipping between the two because you're going to point to some of the chances, some of the decisions and say, okay, that's unlucky. But at the same time, we make your own luck, and some of the chances that we were scared of shooting. And if you think back to the chances that we had, obviously the 8-0 one sticks out, where it would have been better if he just left it and then Sasha would have put it in. But also opportunities for Semedo and another one for 8-0 actually, where we've worked the ball really well. We played some really good football at times, particularly in that first half. Worked it into really good positions. And then we're just trying to be too clever rather than just put our foot through it and have a shot. And if you don't shoot, you don't score. And lo and behold, when we finally did have a shot, even though it was in the 89th minute, we actually scored sort of from nowhere, really, from a sort of a half chance for Bellegarde on top of the box. But I don't think based on our second half performance, we can be saying that we deserve to win that game. I think the fact we lost it is fair enough because Sheffield United came out, they wanted it more, they pushed us, they made it really uncomfortable for us. We can only really, I think, then discuss the manner of how we got back into the game and how it changed. And again, for the 5th or 6th time now in probably 11 games this season, we're going to be back and talking about VAR and referee calls. And I know it's probably a state of where we are at the moment. In the fact, I'm looking at this one and thinking, it's not as bad as some of the other ones. It's not as bad a call as some of the other ones we've had. So I'm thinking, you know, maybe it's our fault for not turning up on the day and not doing what we should have, and being scared to shoot and being scared to score or, you know, try and score. But I know Gary O'Neill was raging, wasn't he? And it's one of these where we'll probably split opinion, the penalty call I'm talking about now, in that the fact there is contact, yeah, but it's soft, isn't it? It's soft contact. The player's already going down, watching it back, definitely looking for it. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, you can say, Fabio, what are you doing? Because really, the ball's broken to him at the back, top of the box. He's got his back to goal. It's the last kick of the game. There's 2 of you there. Why are you even putting your foot in? So, you know, it's kind of our blames on us as well. But I'll let you guys say what you think.
Well, Harry, it's almost like it was a tale of two teams that really don't know what to do in the final third. Because I mean, I was, you know, watching Sheffield United, and I thought I can see why they are in the position that they're in, because the build-up play is fairly decent. They get towards the opposition box, and they've just got nothing. And I mean, I was thinking when he went through on goal for the Sheffield United goal that there's no chance. I mean, fair play for making it the ground and almost putting the tackle in, but I think Sarr was he wrong footed or was he just out of place? And it just seemed like a little bit of a soft one for me.
Yeah, it was a bit of a calamity, the goal, because it come from like quite a deep throw in. And then Totti Gomez, who was really good first half, kind of just panics, hits it off their player. He's in. And like you say, I think it was their first shot on target, the goal. And it was one hell of a finish. You can't deny that. But Sarr was backpedaling. Like he was a bit too far out and he was shitting himself. He's not trying to get back. But will he finish? And what can you do?
even that break, though, you keep thinking back to these moments. That ricochet. That was like a brilliant through ball, it turned out to be. That's really unlucky for that to happen in the first place, isn't it? It was perfect. And then he still had a lot to do. And there was a defender tracking back. I can't remember who it was. And I thought, he might actually just get to Archie before he pulls the trigger. Yeah, Traore. But he absolutely pings it, doesn't he, to be fair. It's a great finish and fair play to him. But you can point to bits in the build-up which are just unfortunate, I think.
That was the only way they were going to score, wasn't it? Like a worldie like that. Because like Sam said, they just didn't look like scoring at all, really.
Well, that's the thing. Today, the Premier League tagged Cameron Archer in a tweet saying that the expectation of scoring a goal in that situation was 0.3. So, I mean, you can obviously see that actually scoring from there would have been very, very difficult. But again, I think Sarr needs to do better. But Harry, I want to get your thoughts on the penalty in which Fabio Silva sort of, I think, clips a shin pad. I think it came down to in the end. But how did you see it? Because Gary O'Neill thinks it's a 6th point. That hasn't gone our way, which is 50% of our total so far this season.
Yeah, well, first of all, before we get onto that and Fabio, there was a couple before, weren't there? There was a VAR check for a handball on Dawson, which was never handball, so that was quick. Then there was that one on Lamina, wasn't there? Which to me was identical to the one at Gomez at Luton. So when that happened, I thought, well, if there's any consistency in these referees, they're going to give this as a penalty because they gave a penalty for Luton. When the Gomez handball, they didn't. So that just proves that the Luton one was wrong because, they've proved it by not giving that Lamina one. And then, you get to the big one and Fabio Silva comes on and he's got a lot to prove. First thing he does is absolutely wallop one of their blokes and gets booked. Yeah. Then he has a header. It turned out it was offside, but an absolutely terrible header, like free header in the box, puts it wide offside. And then we're defending for our lives. A couple of minutes ago, we've got back into the game from Bellegarde, and you think to see it out. And as soon as the ball dropped into the box, and I've seen it was round by Fabio, I was just like clenching, like please don't do anything stupid. Gets the first one, goes in clumsily, and my instinct watching it was that is a penalty. Like so, fair play to the ref. Give it. Like it looked like it at the time. But then just like the Hwang one against Newcastle, you slow it down. Fabio is pulling out because he realises, he shouldn't really be going in the first place. And as Jack said earlier, the player's looking for it. He tries to initiate the contact, jumps to the floor, and then he gets straight back up because I think he was a bit embarrassed, the player. But then, they should have overruled it. And I mean, everyone and their dog could see it shouldn't have been a penalty, and that's 4. Now I agree with Gary O'Neill. That's 6 points, and I mean Fabio. To see him upset was terrible to see because obviously he's gutted, but he gets onto the subject, which I'm sure we'll go on to. Is the criticism too harsh for him? It's not his fault. The price tag, he was awful, but it comes down to, is he human? Does he deserve the criticism? I don't know, but a lot of things to talk about, but definitely not a penalty, and I think we deserved a point overall.
Well, Jack, do you think fans are being too harsh on him? Because I mean, like Harry says, he can't do anything about the price tag, can he? But he can do something about the way that he plays football. No,
I think we do have to remember that he is still only 21, and everything about when it was only 10 minutes he came on for at the end, wasn't it? Everything about that from start to finish seemed like somebody who was trying too hard. The fact he got booked, I think it was probably the quickest booking that's happened from a sub, probably one of the quickest ever. It was just seconds, wasn't it, after coming onto the pitch, the first passage of play, he goes up and leads with his arm a little bit and gets booked. And, it's nice that he's trying to get involved. And I think he really wants to do well, but don't do it at the expense of your team and being a little bit naive. And that's what happened then, because everybody watching that saw that happening, particularly when we were pushing the ball away and we're like, nothing silly, lads. Don't dive in. Just stand your ground here. He's going nowhere. And you gave the ref a choice to make. And if you one thing you need to do is we need to learn more. We need to learn that you can't give these refs a decision to make because you're flipping a coin as to whether they'll give an absolutely horrendous decision or actually use the equipment they've got to get it right. But you can't rely on it. And it's a good point there made in the comments. Is the thing is, if VAR wasn't there, most of these decisions have been given. against us on field, so we wouldn't even have a chance to review it. It's only the fact that we've got this thing here now and we can slow it down and put it at these different camera angles, and we've got used to that over the last couple of years, that it would even be an option. And I think we're kind of, maybe it's us for being silly of thinking that having this extra investment in this equipment should raise the standard of decisions, and it's just not happening, is it really? Because there's just so much ambiguity, which we've spoken about in recent weeks, about how wrong does something have to be before you can overturn it, but wrong at the same time as an absolute wrong is wrong, isn't it? So I don't know. I think you've got to look at ourselves a little bit more with this week, particularly. But I was thinking at one point when you mentioned that Lamina one, where is that the one where they're sliding in? It basically hits his hand after bouncing off him. I honestly thought they were going to give that. I was thinking the way Gary O'Neill's been slagging off the refs all week here.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And the fact that in against one of those in real time, nobody even questioned that. The players, the ref, the fans watching it, nobody even thought there was a hint of handball in there. And when they said they're checking for handball, and I saw the slow-mo back, I was like, I bet they give this. I bet they give this just, because they're going to go by whatever it might be, letter of the law, or they're just at the back of their mind a bit annoyed about how Gary O'Neill's acted for the last few weeks and just slagged them off basically all the time, justifiably slagged them off. Yeah. So I was thinking at that point, I was like, if they give this, I'm done, because it's just a waste of time. But again, like Harry said, thinking back to the thing at Luton, it could have been given, and that's why there's just no consistency. Everything is still all up in the air, even with this technology. But we do have to look at ourselves a little bit for this one as well, because it was foolish things in silly mistakes that have cost us, not just referees.
Do you agree with that, Harry? That he did come out, didn't he, in his press conference pre-match, saying that be careful how you referee against Wolves because you might end up in the Championship next week. And do you think referees and VAR and that community of officials would listen to that and sort of it would be in the back of their minds, or almost like an unconscious bias?
Is Harry frozen?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just natural. Oh, am I frozen? Sorry.
No, I think you're okay. I think it's a bit of a delay. Sorry, mate. Go.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're going to have that in the back of their mind, and I agree with Jack with that handball one. I thought they were going to give it, but then did they stick with that penalty because of that reason as well? I don't know. But we are just making a rod for our own back, so maybe is it best that Gary O'Neill just doesn't say anything? Because he even said after the game, didn't he, that the referee stuck with his decision and said, yeah, there was contact, like very arrogant in his response without even seeing a replay probably. So, yeah, but hopefully we just either get a few for us, which I doubt, but I don't know.
So actually, it was more than that. Gary O'Neill, I after the game finished, I didn't watch any football for the rest of the weekend. I only watched the post-match interviews today, but I watched one of the extended ones with Gary O'Neill and he said he went to the referee's dressing room after, and they watched it together. And he was still pointing out then, the referee, that it's contact, that it's a foul. And I think we all know from playing football that contact doesn't automatically mean foul. It's not the same thing. And Gary O'Neill was just frustrated that, like, I'm sat there telling him, look, he's already going down here. The contact is shin pad, it's minimal. And he's still not agreeing. And that's more of a problem, in the fact that they're scared to admit that they're wrong, even when the evidence is right in front of their face. It's getting into just weird times, really. And that's the worrying thing, I think, that he's most frustrated with.
I agree, because if the spotlight is on a manager, as it has been with Gary O'Neill, actually since his third day and the first game of the season against United, and talking about these decisions, of course he's going to stand by what he went for in the game, isn't he, Harry? Because as soon as he admits that he got it wrong, the spotlight, which is on Gary O'Neill, just amplifies everything, and then the bloke gets demoted in the Championship, sort of where his mates have been warming his seat for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's obviously, like you say, he's not going to disagree with his own decision. But for me, the referee's not the one to blame again. It's VAR again for me. So it would have been nice if the actual ref on the pitch saying, "Oh, looking at it now, maybe it probably wasn't." But then Gary O'Neill will say, "Well, they should have got you to go to the monitor then." So you know what I mean? He don't want to throw his mates in it, does he, either? So that, you see the bloody refereeing accounts on Twitter. They're all sticking up for their own little community, aren't they? So if they make a mistake, they find it very hard to admit it. Unless you're Howard Webb, who does, to be fair. He comes out, doesn't he, and says, yeah, that was wrong. But the actual referees who are doing it and who are in VAR don't seem to want to admit they're wrong. Look at Mike Dean and all that. when they're in the Sky Studios. They always instantly just want to go with what the referees say. If you've seen the clip of Mike Dean, he was in the studio when it happened. At first, he was like, yeah, penalty, this will be given. And then the presenter was like, oh, I don't know about this. And then when he saw it again, he reluctantly admitted that, that shouldn't be given. So referees union, and whatever you want to call it.
Although it's the second week in a row, I think that Dermot Gallagher's been on our side, and he's usually on nobody's side when it comes to clubs. So it's a silver lining, I suppose. But we go into this one against Spurs, I suppose, thinking, do we maybe get dragged into it a little bit more? Is there a bit more on it than there would have been? It would have been nice to have some more points on the board, especially before the international break. But then hopefully Neto will be back after that. But let's talk about Spurs. And I mean, did anyone watch the Spurs-Chelsea game? Because that was mental.
I heard about it. I heard it was mental. I didn't watch it.
I heard about it, yeah, but I didn't watch it. Didn't watch it live, no. But it was another VAR masterclass by the looks of it, wasn't it? And
just more cards in a game of solitaire is unbelievable. But Harry, I think there will be obviously at least two changes because Romero obviously got sent off, as did Udogie. Now, I was looking on Twitter, and someone who's apparently in the know seems to reckon that he's got a list of people that are out or very, very 50-50. I don't know how you can be very, very 50-50, but a doubt, I suppose. James Maddison is a potential doubt. Richarlison as well, I think he's got a niggle and doesn't know if he's going to undergo an operation at some point, maybe before Christmas. So that's part of it as well. Obviously, Udogie, Romero, Van de Ven, Perisic, Mana Solomon, and Ryan Sessegnon, potentially Ben Davies as well. Depleted, maybe a word that we could use. Potentially, but I mean, it could play into Wolves' hands, couldn't it? And the early kickoff too.
Yeah, obviously, again, no Neto is a problem. I'd be a bit more confident with him. It'd be interesting to see what Gary O'Neill does because I don't know how he's going to approach this at all. Is Bellegarde worth a shout now after his goal? Probably. But I don't know how he'll approach it because although Spurs have got all those players missing, they'll also want to bounce back. So whoever they start will be very up for it. But as we mentioned in the Sheffield United preview, I always prefer it when we're underdogs. And even though they've got all those players out, we still are underdogs. So quietly confident we can get something out of this game. Early kickoffs for me, they always seem to be like a boring draw. I don't know if that's just something that I think, but I always seem like the early kickoffs never seem to get going. But yeah, I think we're just concentrating ourselves, trying not to think too much about their bans and suspensions and the personnel they got available. And hopefully Gary O'Neill can cook up some kind of tactic because will he go with Sasha? Will we want to soak it in and hit him on the break and maybe start Bellegarde for that reason? I don't know. I don't think we're going to see Fabio Silva because, I mean, half of Twitter want to kill him. So I don't think Gary O'Neill would risk starting him. So be interesting. Honestly, I could not call the team. I could not guess what he's going to go with.
Jack?
No.
Nelson Semedo will probably start, although he's made a bit of a rod for his own back as well, saying that he can't trust the officials anymore. So I don't know if that's
he'll be sent off within 12 minutes then or something probably. Difficult one again with the team because although Tommy Doyle has been very good in his sort of substitute appearances, I don't think he was particularly effective at Sheffield United. We didn't see any of those cutting edge passes, did we? So I think that spot is open for debate. But yeah, it depends entirely on how we want to approach it and go for it, really. But it'd be interesting to see who he's going to partner with, obviously with Lamina in that midfield. Not sure, but it is positive that they've got players out, but it's still going to be a very, very tough game. Very tough game against a team that have started the season very, very well. We'll see how it goes. I'll bite your hand off for a point now, but we'll see.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, do you think it'd be a case, Harry, of a bit of muscle and a Traore, Lamina, Bellegarde pivot?
Yeah, I can see that. Have Bellegarde in behind Wang and Cunha. It's a bit of pace there then, isn't there? But at the same time, I thought Sasha was brilliant. I thought when he went off against Sheffield United, he's about the 60th minute when because obviously I don't think he's fit enough to play a 90. I thought we had nothing up top. He weren't sticking or anything. So I wouldn't mind if Sasha started either. I know he hasn't got the blistering pace if we do play counter-attacking, but Yeah, it'd be interesting. But Bellegarde's definitely got to have a shout to start after getting his goal.
He's very calm, and I think we said this at half time when we were talking in the Sheffield game, that he's very calm and you just feel like he's always sensible. He knows what to do, and you want that sort of presence in front of goal, because if he does get one chance, you bank on him to finish it, really. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if he started again, because I do think the reason he went off was fitness related rather than performance related.
Mm-hmm.
He gives me sort of vibes of Indai back in the day, Harry. Like they're very competitive, but like quite calm on the ball, can obviously finish as well, and very, very different to somebody like who we've had in previous years, sort of the Martinez and Neveses of the world as well. So I think that could be a good shout.
Is that Bellegarde on about, or Sasha?
Yeah, Bellegarde.
Bellegarde, yeah. I thought he was about Sasha then, I was going to say.
No. He's literally completely the opposite. Give me a score prediction, Harry.
I've actually got some bets up in a minute, so I'm not going to go for my mad usual 4-1. I'm going to have to stick with what I said. These games are usually a draw, so I'm going to go for a 1-1, and that's boring, but I'll take it, and I'm going to be optimistic and say we'll get a 1-1 draw.
Jack?
2-0 defeat.
I'm quite confident. I think looking at the list of potentials that are out, I mean, obviously if Maddison's out, that's huge, and he has hit the ground running. Like I don't think anybody else in the league. He's probably been the signing of the summer. I think if you look at the Premier League as a whole, certainly, and some big key players. I mean, Richarlison potentially as well. He always seems to score against us, no matter what team he's playing for, whether that's Watford, Everton, or Spurs. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I'm going to go for a very confident. I reckon 2-1. I feel a little bit similar to the way I felt before we played City, where I thought, we got no chance. And I think them losing to Chelsea on the Monday has probably taken it away. But
pre-City, I thought we were going to lose 10-0.
Yeah, and we did have Neto in that game, and he is a loss. So you just want your other players to step up, and I think Hwang is more than capable of doing that. And I think Cunha is starting to come good, and we're starting to see the flashes of the price tag, and obviously. Gary O'Neill really, really likes him as well, doesn't he? So the togetherness in the squad certainly seems to be there. So stranger things have happened. But go on, Jack.
Here's a question, though. So given the result and the performance that we saw on Saturday, if Neto wasn't injured and he started, would we have lost that game?
We'd have won Saturday with Neto.
Yeah.
I think we probably would.
Yeah, I think everything points to it, isn't it? Every good performance or every period of a game that has been you put down as decent, he's always been part of it, hasn't he?
First off, we were getting in behind. We got in behind about 3 times, like on the counter. Like Cunha went through, Hwang, even Semedo. So if Neto had been on one of them, he'd have ran in and blasted. He'd have ripped the net off. Like against Luton, he'd have done one of them.
And this is why it's a concern, is the fact how good he's been so far this season and how much we're going to miss him. Because just look at it on paper, we lost Neto, who's been our best player this season, and then we go and lose to a team that hasn't won a game yet. So, you can point to good spells, you can point to referee decisions, but that's a concern in my book. It's a real concern.
Although I don't think Luton had a point, did they, when we played them? And
if anyone's looking for something and haven't had anything all season, then we'll give it to them. No danger. But
there you go. Their first away loss. Then now we can give that to Spurs. Harry, I believe, has some bets, which is fantastic news. So I'll pass on to Harry.
There's no specials or anything on for this game, which is a bit of a surprise. But just the normal odds. So we are underdogs. We're 11-5 to win. Spurs are 23-20. Go on to the correct scores. I predicted a 1-1. You can get 6-1 for a 1-1, which isn't too shabby. A 2-1 Wolves win is 9-1. A 2-0 Tottenham win, which Jack predicted, is 11-1. So out of our predictions, the best odds, Jack's prediction, believe it or not. If you want to be a bit tasty and go for my mad bet, which never comes in, it hasn't come in for about 6 years now. 4-1 Wolves is 66-1. So yeah, put a pound on. You never know. That's about it, really.
Is it only 66-1 for a 4-1?
Yeah, which is, I think, against if it's Man City or something, it's like 100-1 in it. So we're underdogs, but we're not mad underdogs.
That would have probably changed just because of the injuries and because we've been in half decent form lately. Probably, we've probably come in a bit.
Did anyone listen to the Wolves Express, the Wolves podcast? They do on a weekly basis, Wolves Weekly. Harry, I think you listened to it, so I'm going to start with you. But I listened to it today, and I thought, again, Gary O'Neill comes across really, really well. Very, very likable character, and being quite upfront and honest, actually, which is, I think, better than maybe a column in the Express and Star, which Jeff Shee has opted for. But I suppose it's nice to have that connection to the club.
Yeah, I mean, like we've said, so the run we've been on obviously Sheffield United has helped a lot, the way he's bounced back. He's always been quite honest. He said a few mad stuff when we were going through that sticky spell. But yeah, he's always been refreshingly honest. He's always been willing to speak to the media, hasn't he? And it was a really good listen. I did notice as well, because I saw some of the clips on Twitter, he was doing all his hands again. Even with the microphone in his hand, he was giving it the Willy Wonka hands. But yeah, he was brilliant. And like the way he mentioned about the Wolves fans singing his song and that, he knows what he's doing. He's building up that connection with the fans, and fair play to him, really, honestly, because like he even said himself, he knows that a lot of Wolves fans didn't want him. He knows it's a bit of an underwhelming appointment, and it was up to him to prove it. And, you know, he said, I've got to earn my crust now. And then he wants to be given time, which he knows is not a luxury you get, is it, if you have a bit of a bad run in the modern game? So, yeah, really good listen, and 10 out of 10 interview for me. I thought everything he said was pretty good, and admitting we were bad against Sheffield United second half as well. You know, he didn't make up some rubbish and just concentrate on the VAR decision. He admitted that we were bad second half, but he said in time we can improve. So great listen. I think we're in good hands, but if we lose the next 3, I'll be going up to Molineux protesting for his sacking. So yeah.
You said a 10 out of 10 interview there, but question to you both. How would you rank his tenure so far out of 10?
8.
See, that's good, man. What if I'd asked you after Ipswich?
About 3.
0.8.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's been a 6. To be honest, you know, the City win was great. The City was great. Bournemouth, I thought we were lucky to come away with the win. Some of the early tactical changes and substitutions were a little bit suspect, but I think you've got to give him, you know, a little bit of credit because or a little, you know, go easy on him because he'd just come into the club. He hadn't had a proper pre-season. He doesn't know the players like we do. I mean, we've been doing this for, I'm looking about, 6 years. So, I mean, you know, we know the players pretty well compared to somebody who's just walked through the door. But then, like Jack said, you know, the question of, do we win that game against Sheffield United with Neto? And we all go, yeah. So how much is that down to Neto being class and Gary O'Neill being a great manager? Well, when one of them isn't there, we lost.
Sam, you bring up a great point. Do you give Gary O'Neill credit for the way Hwang's playing as well? You know what I mean? Look at the improvement from Hwang. Is that good management, or is that just Hwang all of a sudden becoming amazing? Is it, you know, you've got to give him some credit. He's coaching the players throughout the week. He's setting them up to do what he wants. And it's no secret that Neto and Hwang all of a sudden are playing incredible again. Is that just luck, or is that him?
That's why I give him a 6. I think 6 is fair because who you know, what's 10?
Well, Sam, what was our objective when he come in? Our objective was to survive. What are we? 7 points ahead of the bottom 3? For me, he's flying above the expectation that we wanted at the moment. We wanted to survive. What would you give him then, comfortable?
I'd probably split the difference and say 7. I think
Cheers,
the refreshing thing about it, though, has been how it seems to have improved in quite a short amount of time, and we appreciate he's come in under difficult circumstances, which he obviously spoke about on that podcast. But it's just nice to have seen, because if you look back at some of the parts of it, it's not been pretty. Even in the times we have picked up points, you look like when we beat Everton, it's a bit of a, you know, smash and grab sort of thing, wasn't it? And these sorts of things. So I think the people are on board with it now because they're liking what he's saying. And they're liking some of the things they're seeing and how he's changed some things. And like you say, got the best out of players, but it's nice to go on that journey and see how it's improved over time. So it's definitely got better. And even though we lost on Saturday, which on paper was a bit of a bad defeat where we should be picking up points, I think he's earned a bit of patience from Wolves fans now. And if we go and put a performance in on Saturday, everyone will be fully back on board, won't they? So,
Do you know what else he did as well?
9 out of 10
what else he did as well for me was he gave Fabio Silva a massive chance as well at the beginning. But you can't say he hasn't given Silva a big chance. So He's done little
Genius.
things well as well.
We're reaping those rewards.
Yeah, but exactly. He gave him a chance, and then he knows he's shit. So we haven't seen him since. Obviously, he come on against Sheffield United, but it's true though, isn't it? Like you give him a fair whack. Maybe that's why we had such a bad run. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you forget the humour, don't you, players?
Yeah.
I wouldn't look at Twitter if I was him again until he starts scoring.
Let's move on to a former Wolves manager who was managing in the Saudi Pro League until this morning. Nuno's been sacked, Harry, by Al Ittihad, and they've won 6 of their 12 games this season, but they lost to Air Force Club of Iraq in the Asian Champions Trophy on Monday, and he's been given his marching orders. Now, apparently he wasn't getting on with Benzema, which is obviously one of the big players that made the move to Saudi to play in front of 700 people, which I think is about $1,000 per person that he's on a week. So not too shabby at all. But what were your thoughts? Because they're trying to build this league and they're trying to get good managers to come over, but I think people still care about their careers because they're not just going for the money. I mean, the money is obviously going to be a huge bonus for them. And I know one person that's been linked is Lopetegui today, but he says he's waiting for a Premier League club, which, fair enough, because it's not like you get paid minimum wage for managing in the Premier League, but you do want to have a little bit of success and a career end of it. So what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was quite surprised. Obviously, they did well last season, but
I won the league.
You won the league, yeah. So, but if he's not getting on with their prize asset in Benzema, it don't surprise me, really. You know what I mean? You can't fall out with a superstar player. And in that league, I think superstar players are going to be more powerful than the manager, aren't they? Let's be honest, with the money they're spending on them and giving them. So, yeah, Lopetegui might go in, but I've just praised O'Neill. I think we should get rid of O'Neill now and get Nuno back in. That's a joke. That's clearly a joke.
Jack, your thoughts? I mean, if you're trying to build a league from essentially scratch. I mean, I know they said, it's been around since the 70s, etc. But there are 700 people watching. I think there was more people at Gateshead United at the weekend than watching the Saudi Pro League on average. So, what sort of message is it sending out where you go, this is the brilliant league, you can have all the best players you want, but you can only really work with them for 12 games a season? And success can't come to everybody, can it? Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose.
Yeah, I'll start by saying my knowledge of the Middle Eastern Champions League is not the best. But I do know that sort of half following Nuno, like you say, he won the league last year, beating the Ronaldo's team to the title. And I know that you say they've got Benzema, they've got a few others. I think Kante on his Nuno's team as well, potentially. Yeah. So they've got some decent players, and Nuno's probably sort of went over there a little bit before this recent wave. Just missed the this recent wave of all the players going over there a little bit before it was as popular as it is now. But it's interesting what Harry says about the players have so much power, because you think like with football clubs in the UK, a lot of the power, you can point to the fans of having a lot of the say over stuff that goes on, can't you? But there's no fans over there, really. Like some of these games are pulling in a couple of hundred people, and I don't know how it's sustainable when they're paying like such mega money and then attracting no real business. I mean, who's watching this? Unless you've got some of these people who are really into, like the kids these days seem to be in more to following individual players rather than individual teams, which is something that seems to be changing a little bit, which I'm not particularly a fan of, but maybe I'm just old. So then, like, who's watching this and who's been held to account for what's going on? And with all this money flowing about and everybody wanting to bring in the best players and everybody wanting success to try and keep these players who shouldn't really be playing in that league there a little bit longer, it's going to be quite cutthroat, but I'm sure he's had a nice payoff again, hasn't he? So I don't think he's going to be, sleeping on the streets or anything, old Nuno. And he's got that on his CV that he's won the Saudi League, which in a few years might be the most prestigious award in football. Who knows? So I think we'll see him again somewhere before long, to be honest. Whether that be
in the South Bank.
I don't know, in the South Bank, whether that be in the Premier League or most likely in Portugal or Spain, I would think. But, we know he's a talented manager. And when it all comes together, it comes together really well. So with everything that happened at Wolves, everyone still wishes him all the best for whatever he does, I think, don't they? So,
of course, yeah. definitely. Speaking about Saudi in sort of an indirect way, David Alstein at The Athletic has tweeted today saying Premier League clubs to vote on banning loans between associated parties for January window. If approved, potential deals like Ruben Neves from Al Hilal to Newcastle will be blocked. Temporary measure until longer term solution is agreed. Harry, I think the first thing you said when Jack popped that in the group was absolutely right.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, when Neves first went there, I thought it was just all a big plan to get him to Newcastle, to be honest. So it's music to my ears, and I'm glad they're stopping it early because it could have got a bit messy. But it is a bit like us loaning people from Grasshoppers, though, isn't it? I don't know if that's allowed anymore.
It's exactly the same.
This is the thing, because it's not confirmed yet. The clubs get to vote on it, and I wouldn't be surprised if the clubs vote on it and it gets knocked back, to be honest. And one of the points, just from reading up on this and reading comments on Twitter and everything, is that teams have been doing this for years. It used to happen with the MLS. It used to happen with, you said about Grasshoppers. Then we've been doing it on a much lower level than this. And it seems to me now that the reason that they're changing this is because Newcastle are doing it and they don't like that. So and they've got a point. I think they've got a point in the fact that it's going to potentially update the status quo a little bit, but there's been these wheeler dealings going on for ages. So why are they changing it now? Do they think it's going to happen a lot more with clubs from Saudi being loaned back to the Premier League for certain parts of it? Then it's possible. Could
have got Neymar as well. Imagine if they just all of a sudden said, "Oh, we'll have Neymar as well on loan for the rest of the season." So
it kind of kills the identity of your club if you're just playing for different people every week, isn't it? It's like what? It's just I don't get it if all these players are just on a revolving door between clubs depending on what season it is and where's going on. And it's like being cup tied and stuff, where the rule was brought in to stop you buying a load of players because you want to win the cup or whatever it might be if you're doing quite well. But then suddenly, if the team in Saudi Arabia are doing well, they're going to ship all their Premier League stars over there for the end of the season, so to make sure they win that if they're not doing well in the league. I don't know. It's a complicated one, but I'd be interested to see which club votes for what, because I'm guessing everyone has a one. Everyone gets a vote. Each club gets a vote each, and out of the 20, the majority wins. Because obviously Newcastle will say yes. Any other club who looks to benefit from that will say yes. So I think it might get through. Well,
potentially. I mean, Man City will obviously be huge benefactors with who their owner is at the end of the day. But Harry, do you see it getting knocked back? Is it the Premier League thinking actually we need to protect the asset that we have built over the last 30 years, the money that goes into it, or is it a case of money will talk at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think it'll go through and be stopped, because the Premier League body hates Saudi anyway, because all the superstars are being took away from the Premier League to there, and also Saudi they want some of their clubs to be in the Champions League, don't they? Soon, I think it's 2025, is it? So you can't have Neves going on loan from them to Newcastle if they're both in the Champions League or something. It gets a bit weird then. It's weird enough without that, but yeah, the Premier League don't like that league anyway, so I think the majority of clubs will vote to put a stop to this, and rightly so.
If I was a Saudi league, though, I'd just be going and poaching, the Richard Masters of the world, the people running the Premier League as it is, and just take them to Saudi. They love money. Go and give them the cash, and then there'll just be nobody left to run the league that had been running it previously.
They can take our referees. They can have all of them.
They can have them.
Put them all in the house together. Actually, talking to referees, the one thing we should say is talk about Anthony Taylor and how obviously after the Newcastle game he was punished and demoted. Went to do a game in the Championship. Had an absolute mare doing that. and what's his reward? Chelsea against Man City next week. So it's not a punishment; it's a holiday. It's ridiculous, isn't it? What's the punishment there? It's like, oh, you were bad in that, so we're going to send you to do a game here. You're terrible in that. What's your reward? Oh, one of the biggest games of the season.
It's a part of a wider problem, though, Harry. That Jack makes a very good point, but is it also that our pool of referees is absolutely? It's like a pond. It's like a little puddle of referees where we should have
the same. Didn't all the officials get like a weekend off after the Man United one for us, the Onana one, and then they were back? Yeah. Not the weekend after that. It's just they just sweep it under the carpet, show they've done something, then it's back to as you were. And then the fact that he made a mistake in the Championship is just so funny. It's just so funny.
Yeah. It's a week off, isn't it? Like so. Oh, you made a holiday. You get a week's holiday. You know,
Yeah.
you haven't got to, if you haven't got to do a game at all, like the VAR people, then like, better still get paid. So
Yeah, outrageous.
Comical. It's not going to
The
change.
supporters' trust at Wolves are apparently still looking to reverse the Wolves Christmas Eve fixture against Chelsea. So that'll be going ahead, but we'll keep an eye on that one anyway. We've given our thoughts on that previous podcast. Harry has a quiz, so I'm going to pass you over to Harry.
Yeah, we've gone back to the successful quiz we did a few months ago now, where it's ex-Wolves players. I'm going to name their last 3 clubs. What I will say is this quiz, lads, every single player on this is retired. So, you know, there's no current professionals in this quiz.
Just to be super clear, because I know we got confused last time, it's the last 3 clubs they played for in their career, not before joining Wolves or after Wolves, just the last 3.
No, completely the last 3. So Wolves might be in there, but they might not. And every single player has played for a minimum of 3 clubs. So I'm not just going to go Wolves, and then you know what I mean. The first 8 are like our era, so you should get them from like the first 8 questions. You know, if you got 5 questions each.
Yeah.
So the first 4 each are like from 1999 onwards, and then the last 2 are quite older, so you might struggle with those. But we'll see how we go. Who wants to go first?
I think we'll struggle with these. I'll go first.
Yeah, he's
I always
easily
go second.
You go first. Okay. Former Wolves player. His last 3 clubs were, Jack. Nice and easy one to start. LA Galaxy, Aston Villa, and Indian club ATK was his last club.
So Robbie Keane has got to be in it.
There we go. See?
Nice. Very good. I don't think
I didn't know he went to India,
Sam?
though, actually, to be honest.
No,
Nor did I until I looked at it earlier. Sam.
Yeah.
Norwich. This one's quite hard, actually. Norwich, Brentford, Tampa.
I missed that last one. What was it?
Tampons.
Tampa Bay Rowdies. Sorry, I cut out a minute.
Andrew Sermon.
Oh my god, that was a rogue guess, but it's not that. But bloody hell, I forgot he existed.
It's a good shout.
It's a striker.
Norwich.
Yeah, it's a striker again. Any guesses, Jack? Early 2000s Premier League era under Dave Jones.
Carl Court.
It was Carl Court.
Very good.
Very good. 1-0 to Jack after round 1. He got Robbie Keane. Round 2, Jack. Wolves, Dundee, Anafordasis, Famagusta, which are a Greek team.
It was the middle one, sorry. Wolves,
Dundee.
Dundee.
The middle one was the one that you were confused about.
And then
not Falamashnamadupidus.
Wolves, Dundee. Oh, don't give Kevin Kyle.
Oh no!
I'll go on Colin Cameron.
I'll give you a clue, Sam.
Yeah, give us an era.
It's like late 90s, early 2000s midfielder, scored an absolute worldy free kick routine once.
David Jones.
No, Inspire.
No. Yeah, that was.
What a mad last club, by the way. So Jack don't get Sam. This one is Birmingham, Wolves, Bournemouth. Oh, Gaz got it in the comments to the previous one.
Nigel Quasi. Quashi.
Oh, do you know what? Ain't too bad of a guess. It seems similar sort of era when he played for Wolves. Any guesses, Jack?
No, it's a tough one. That
it's Sick Note himself.
Oh, Anderson. Okay,
Aaron Anderson. Yeah, Birmingham, Wolves, Bournemouth. His last 3 clubs. What we on, Jack? Aston Villa, AEK, which I assume is Athens, and Sunderland.
So someone goes from Villa to Greece and then to Sunderland. Villa, Greece, Sunderland. I've got no idea. What era? Give us a clue, Harry.
Eras, early 2000s. Do you want position?
Yeah, anything you give me.
Centre
I've got
half.
no idea. What's with all these players going to Greece?
That's difficult.
No.
Paul Butler.
Oh, he played next to him.
Oh,
Pollitt.
Lescott.
Oh, Lescott. Oh, wow.
what's?
Wow.
Jody and Lescott, yeah. His last
didn't
club was
know that you
Sunderland.
I didn't know you went to Greece.
Yeah, must not have been for long. I think when he accidentally tweeted out that picture, when he accidentally tweeted out a picture of a car when he was at Villa, I think he ran away to Greece to get away from the abuse.
Oh, yeah, still got me. Yeah.
Sam, this one is either going to be very easy because it's so mad, or it's going to be very hard. So, last 3 clubs. I can't pronounce some of these, so bear with me. Pohang Steelers, Ulsan Hyundai, Incheon United.
Oh, it's only one
Seoul
person can be.
Seoul Ki-hyun.
Well done.
Yeah. Lovely.
Jack. I knew you'd get that because it's so rogue. Wolves, Leicester, Bolton, Jack. Wolves, Leicester, Bolton.
Ooh.
There's only 3 clubs. I'll give you that clue. It's the only 3 clubs.
I reckon I know that.
Mark Davis.
Oh, good shout.
Yes.
That's what I've gone for.
Well done.
Yes, very good. Very good.
Well done. Sam. Bristol City, MK Dons, Shrewsbury Town.
Bristol City, MK Dons, Shrewsbury Town. What era?
This is a bit later. This is like Kenny Jackett when he played for Wolves.
Don't know. Pass.
Any guesses, Jack? Kenny Jackett?
James Henry.
I just said James Henry.
Oh, no. I might as well give it to you because I don't think you get it. He's got Goldborn.
Oh, he's retired. Okay. I didn't know he retired.
Yeah, he's retired in 2021. Right, last 2 then. Oh, the internet all right?
Yeah.
It's a bit dodgy, but we can hear you.
Yeah, last 2 are very old. So old. Not very old, like before 95 old. Jack.
Offended half the audience.
Barrow, Southport, Telford.
Didn't Steve Ball?
No, he went to Hereford, I think, after Wolves.
Oh, okay. All right.
Who used to play next to him?
Andy Much.
It's Andy Much, yeah.
Oh.
And to round us off, Sam.
Oh, this is a draw.
Hensford Town, Hereford.
Steve Ball.
That's Steve Ball then.
No.
Oh, no.
We're rubbish.
I'll give you a clue. He used to sell trophies in Starport.
Oh, my God. Robbie Dennison.
Yes, Robbie Dennison.
As if I got it from those used to sell trophies in Starport. Yeah, next to Froggies.
He used to be by Froggies.
Blast from the past. Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Harry. Jack comes out victorious, which has shocked everybody, including me. Best of luck if you're going up to Molineux at the weekend. Early kickoff. That means you can spend more time in the pub afterwards. Just tell her missus it was a 3 p.m. Easy. Perfect. Right, we'll say goodbye to Harry Mansell.
Yeah, I'm off to the darts after the game, so a bit of a mad one for me.
I thought you meant now then.
No, Grand Slam of darts. I might be on stage because I'm really good at the moment down the pub, so they might pull me on stage. But if not, I'll stay in the crowd. See everyone.
I mean, the likelihood of Harry making it to the darts after 12:30 is very unlikely, and the possibility of him knocking the dartboard off the wall with his nose if he does make it onto the stage is very highly likely.
I'll jump at it head first and get stuck in the board.
I just want to see you up there with them dancers showing them your moves.
They've been banned now. Controversial.
Have they?
Because of sexism. They've got loads of sexy women walking them in now, yeah. Because obviously we're in 2023 and everything's gone nuts. So, yeah. Don't want to offend anyone, but yeah, you know.
Not to offend anyone, but that's clearly upset Harry. That's the reason he went. And it's a goodbye for Jack Williams.
Yeah, bye-bye.
And a goodbye from me. Goodbye.